Hey, Tony's right. This is a short video because I'm eating my food. My kebab. My beef kebab. So basically, we had an MFA reading today at my university. I went and I read 2 poems. And I just wanted to share, I guess, the experience of being in community and oh god, that sounds so cliche. This sounds like a concept. Being in community as a conceptual idea in space. So we were there, and so one of the students is coming from the spring. He showed up with his writing. I wasn't going to read, but I decided to read 2 poems that I've previously had published through online and in print and stuff like that, but online spaces. And I decided to share the experience. So it was really nice. I think I never really interact with a lot of the people outside of my class in the program and stuff like that, mainly because there's 3 tracks and usually everyone's really focused on their specific track. I've had the pleasure of meeting memoir students in our program. Did not even know that was a track for the university when I got there. I just skipped over that junk because I saw poetry and I was like, that's what I'm trying to be. So I just went there. But I got to meet memoir people, and this semester especially I got to meet a lot more people, and one was in a totally different program altogether, but they're writing memoir and fiction and stuff like that. So I got to read their stuff and read and kind of see how they've been working and building and growing as writers for their tracks, and then them interacting with me as well. So that was really fun and interesting. And so the MFA reading was an extension of that, and that I got to see more people that I normally wouldn't see. I saw first year, saw people in their thesis year. I saw someone who is not even in the program in terms of they're not there in the semester yet, they're going next semester. And then just seeing people that I never see. So that was really interesting and cool and stuff like that. And so the second thing that I noticed was I still have a lot of stage fright being in person. And that's funny because I'm always on fucking YouTube making a video. But in person reciting something kind of feels weird. And then also with poetry, you got to put on a certain voice. It's a little bit of a show that you got to put on. Poetry is already considered boring as shit. So you have to put a little bit of a performance on. You got to do the voice and, the powerful voice and reading the words and being crisp and shit like that. That is something I still have to work on, public speaking, but specifically when it comes to doing readings. And so I noticed that within myself, but yeah, that's something I'm willing to work on, and I'm glad I actually stood up and read it and stuff like that, because usually I'm very quiet when I read my stuff in workshops, and they're can you read it again? We didn't quite hear you. Could you do that again? I'm oh my god, I don't want to fucking do this. So I have to do it again. And so yeah, knowing kind of I guess getting the logistics and schematics of space when it comes to you being a reader and reading in public for other people, and not just practicing in a fucking corner or something like that in front of a mirror, because often there is no mirror that you're practicing in front of or reading in front of when you're doing an actual reading. There's an actual space podium that you're focusing on. And actually now that I think about it, the schematics and geography of a MFA reading in terms of you as the reader should be really explained a little bit more, because it would go into the other stuff I'm interested for my thesis, which is performance arts. Ooh. And how you can deviate and break away from that spot, and how if you were to book a reading or get booked for a reading, how to work the space. You know what I'm saying? What are the dimensions of the stage? What are the dimensions of the podium? What is the amp of the mic? How does it distort your voice? How does it work with your voice? How can you work with it to alter your voice if you're using voice altering things? If you're ableist, or not ableist, but if you have not ableist tendencies, but if you have clear things that diminish your ability to do that, right? Like you have like, what is the little tray thing, or you can't walk and you're in a wheelchair, or you have crutches or something like that. Like, how does that geography work out? That would be an interesting short course to like discuss and think about. Now think about it. Yeah. So stuff like that is like very fascinating. Like getting up into the stage, like just up to the physical space. How does that work? These are like really interesting things. Like you would think I went like an architecture major. Side note, all my crushers were like architecture majors. Like when I was in college, like I had the hots for this one architecture major. Oh my god, it was like a lot. Anyway, it was very intense. But that gave me a love of like learning about space and place, and then trying to do the master's geography, like learning about space and place. And I still have articles and like a book on that like was like required reading, and it was like very philosophical in nature. Don't play with the geography majors. They can be philosophical when they need to, because what they were writing was kind of like, it was like psycho-spiritual almost. Psycho-spiritual, psychoanalytical, emotional type work. Just saying. And having the effect on people as a reader is something also to like gauge in the room and stuff like that. Not that you're seeking external validation, but like if you're reading, obviously you want your words to have an effect. And so intonation of voice and pitch and all that kind of stuff is like very important. And so learning performance arts, that should be a class. Learning the performance art of reading in front of people. Because I don't want to sit here and listen to you read and you dry. You know what I'm saying? The same thing with audiobooks. I don't think people pick audiobooks and then they be dry and be like, oh yeah, like, yeah. It's like, it just make it seem like you gotta trudge through it. Like, you know, people want to, outside of spicy topics, you know what I'm saying? Sexy topics. Yeah, Zaddy, you know, them kind of books. People do listen to audiobooks, and like the audio of the book can alter like the perception of the book and the subject matter. One of the people in my class, I made fun of him. I was just teasing him about like him listening to audiobooks, and he was like, that's how I get through. But he was like, the way that like one of the poets we read, Dennis Smith, did their poetry book, and it was an audiobook that he was listening to, really enhanced the poem and elevated it in a way that like a traditional reading could not. So all that, cool, whatever. Last thing is, I really feel like I need to retire the poems that I've been like doing the little circuit with, because now I kind of feel like I read some out loud. I published my portfolios from first semester and second semester. I'm in my third semester, and I don't really have a lot that I produced. I did more stories and stuff like that, and that's cool or whatever. But I want to kind of like start writing some more. So, you know, those are the things that came out of this. I'm gonna do a quick video. I got like 8 videos for this channel. Yeah, like that's what I'm thinking about with the MFA writing, like reading type thing that we had. It was just interesting. And so we do it like twice. So we do it in the fall and then in the spring. The spring is kind of like the big one, because pretty much the entire cohort shows up, and then they have like the fair and stuff like that. Also in the spring, for the, you know, people who are graduating the commencement, they've made their books, or they're going to sell their books, and then they're going to read, and their friends and family are there, and it's kind of like a big culmination event for them. But this is very interesting. If you are in an MFA program and it offers readings, or even readings around your city, your town, state, whatever, country, girl, I don't care, consider participating in some poetry. I mean, you know, you don't have to be a slam poet kind of like reader, because that's just that can be very specific. But they're known for being very emotive, right? But participate and see who you meet there, and see, just challenge yourself if you're not one that's like up on the screen type thing. As far as I'm talking about up on the screen, as in like you're in person, the people like peering at you, like watching you and stuff. Embrace being seen, because part of being seen is not just having your book in print and it just being like a random book on a shelf, like getting dusty, to be honest, because people may never find it there if it's not promoted well. But like, you have to be seen, like physically, like seen in the flesh as a person. meetings with like agents or meetings with people who can further your career, companies and stuff like that, you need to like meet them. You need to like meet them and put an effort in and go from there, girl. Like, what? So yeah, this is it. I think I have one more video. God damn. One more video, and then I think I'll be done for this series, and then I'll be making the thumbnails and making them like scheduled and all that kind of stuff on the channel. So I was going to break it up into 2 weeks worth of content. I don't feel like it all can be available next week because it may be like 3 weeks before I like upload again. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.